All right, let's get started. Thanks everyone for joining to Hindi University. Last Sunday we couldn't have our class because it was a long weekend. So this week I'm ready for another exciting session. In this particular class, we'll be learning, a very important topic, how to write short Hindi poems, right? So it will be very helpful for you if you have a preliminary understanding of like Hindi language and the grammar, some of the grammar, you'll be able to write short Hindi poems, right? There are many ways to write poems. We'll particularly look at like, how you sort of say conditional sentences in English, right? So essentially we'll learn first how to sort of like, use conditional sentences in Hindi, and then we'll come up with a short poem, right? And then towards the end of the towards the end of this class, I'll let you, use some of the things that we're learning in the class, and I'll let you come up with a small like a poem. Okay. So with that in mind, let's get going. So I'll be asking a lot of questions, so feel free to write down on the on the side on the chat box. So that way I'll continue to get feedback. So as I mentioned, the primary thing that you want to learn in this class is conditional sentences. Uh, like I said, there are many ways to use conditional sentences. In this particular class, we'll learn one way basically. Okay, which is something like if I were a bird, I would fly. So something it's completely unreal. You're a human being, for example, in this case, and you cannot be a bird, right? But this is your imagination, right? And you want to simply come up with a sentence, or you want to simply think that if you were a bird, what would you do, right? In this case, we are simply saying that I would fly. Now, if you can come up with some good imagination, right? Or if you can have like 4 or 5 phrases like this, where you're imagining something, it will make a very good poem, a very simple poem, right? And that's essentially we'll be doing. We'll try to learn this structure. We'll try to break it down, and we'll try to see how we can write this sentence in Hindi first, right? And then we look at several other similar examples, so that will give you a better understanding of how to break it down, so a sentence like this, and then learn to write Hindi sentence for it, right? So why don't we just start with the same sentence, and and how to sort of like break it down, right? So I'll write it again, so that way you get to see it again. So the first thing is, if I were a bird, I would fly. Don't get intimidated if this sounds a little bit complicated, but if you break it down, this is sentence one, this is sentence two. Simple. Even though you are saying this sentence in past, it basically inferring to the future, right? That this is something, you're not like a bird right now, but you're imagining it, right? It's reflecting to the future. And what would you do in that situation, right? In the first sentence, there's one noun, right? And there's only one verb here, fly. And let me ask you a quick quiz. What is to fly in Hindi? Anyone remembers? What is to fly? So the verb to fly in Hindi is, anyone? I'll give a quick, you know, 10 seconds or 15 seconds quiz, and then I'll give you the answer. Okay. To fly, it's a verb. It means udna. Udna in Hindi. It's the way you write it in Devanagari, u, the, and then na. Udna. Udna. Okay. Just to recap, a lot of folks join, after we start class. So in this particular class, we are trying to come up with how to write a short Hindi poem, right? And the structure I'm using is like, we are starting with a very simple conditional sentence. And if we learn how to write one conditional sentence like this, we can practice more similar sentences. And then by the end of it, we can come up with four such conditional sentences and then come up with a small poem. Right? So the first one is, if I were a bird, I would fly. Right? Now you have to break it down. This is sentence one. This is sentence two. Okay. Now you need to learn the vocabulary words, some of the vocabulary words, right? In order for you to come up with a sentence. Let's see if you remember any of the vocabulary word, right? One is pretty clear. What is bird? What is bird in Hindi? Some of the folks who join regularly, they should be able to tell us that. Okay. What else?
Pakshi.
There's no negative mark, so feel free to give it a try. No penalty. Okay. So the bird is chidiya. The way you
Chiriya.
write it is chi, yeah, chidiya, right?
Chiriya.
Chidiya, chidiya. Okay. So first thing is like how to write. Let me give a minute. Okay. So and also folks who are new, we have a formula. If you do not know a particular word or the vocabulary word in Hindi, you can use the formula. And the formula is हिंदी में को fill in the blank is what the word you want to inquire about. को क्या कहते हैं, right? हिंदी में, in this case bird, हिंदी में bird को क्या कहते हैं? How do you say bird in Hindi? And it's a very good formula. You can use it for pretty much anything, right? Any vocabulary word you want to know. Otherwise, there's no limit, right? I mean, you cannot memorize all of them, right? So you use this formula to ask a native speaker or anyone you are conversing with to figure out the Hindi word for bird, right? The answer would be हिंदी में bird को चिड़िया कहते हैं. Okay? हिंदी में bird को चिड़िया कहते हैं. I hope you were able to write it down. Okay, so right, so let's get going. So far we've learned the word for bird. We've learned a verb for fly, which is udna. Now, next thing you want to know is what is the structure, right? So two things are very common whenever you have a conditional sentence like this in Hindi. First one is agar. Agar is if in Hindi, and the way you write it in Devanagari is like this: agar. If agar, okay. Just a quick note, if you can just mute yourself, so that way towards the end of the class we'll open it up for discussion. So you will have an opportunity to ask your question as well. But just mute yourself so that way. So the first thing you need to know is, in this case, is agar. Agar is if, and that's how you write it. The second one in this conditional form is to. To, and then the second sentence. Okay, so again the structure is agar, and then this is your imagination, first sentence. To, and then this is your second sentence. Make sense? You guys can hear me? Just I got a quick notification. Can you quickly tell me if you were able to hear me? Okay, good. I think I by mistake. Give me a quick minute. Let me know if you cannot hear me, okay? And I'll fix it. Alright, so the structure is agar, your first sentence, to, and then your second sentence. Now let's learn to write the first sentence. So you have agar, which is your by default. In the structure, it will be there. Now the second sentence is I were a bird. You know bird is chidiya. So you will write it as मैं चिड़िया होती अगर मैं चिड़िया होती I is मैं bird is chidiya, and because hona is to be, right? And because chidiya is feminine, you're writing hoti. If this was a masculine, it would be hota. Hota. Okay. So agar is your by default. Just to repeat it, if मैं चिड़िया होती, अगर मैं चिड़िया होती. Try to practice it on your own. अगर मैं चिड़िया होती. Now this will give you a good understanding of the first sentence. Okay. Let me, yeah, a quick reminder again. If you can just mute yourself, so that way it will be, you know, I'll be able to understand, whether you are, asking a question or whether you are just practicing it. So let me see if I can do it. But okay, I think I've muted everyone, so that's good. Okay. अगर मैं चिड़िया होती, and चिड़िया is again feminine, so that's why it's होती. Now what if you want to write, and again I'm going to quiz you here, and hmm. So peacock, let's say you want to write the same sentence for peacock. Okay, and let's say this time peacock is masculine. Okay, um, again it's a quiz. The same sentence, let's replace the bird with peacock. And okay, what else? Very good. And let's say you don't know the Hindi word for, or you want to inquire a Hindi vocabulary word for peacock. How will you use that in our formula? So I'll give you again 10 to 15 seconds, so that way you can practice our formula. Okay, very good. So the way you use it in our formula is, as most of you have already pointed out, so you will say peacock, or you will say हिंदी में पीकॉक को क्या कहते हैं? That will be your question. And our answer is हिंदी में पीकॉक को मोर कहते हैं. And the way you write it is ma with o and then हिंदी में पीकॉक को मोर कहते हैं. Very good. I think some people already knew it. Okay, so in this case, if you were to write the same sentence in Hindi, you will say अगर मैं मोर होता, as most of you already pointed out, अगर मैं मोर होता, right? So we've gone through one feminine where the noun is feminine and one where the noun or the object is masculine, right? Now let's learn on the second sentence. I would fly. How do you write the second sentence? I would fly. I would fly would be मैं, in this case मैं उड़ता, मैं उड़ता. I would fly. And if you want to say I would fly in the sky, मैं, in the sky is आसमान में, आसमान में उड़ता. आसमान में is in the sky. मैं is again I and उड़ता is to fly. Okay, so just to repeat again, you're saying I would fly, मैं उड़ता. If you want to say I would fly in the sky, it would be मैं आसमान में उड़ता. Now to repeat that again, to write the entire thing in Hindi again, right? Let's try that. I hope you were able to write it down. I'm going it slowly so that way you can, all of you can follow it easily. And then when we go over multiple sentences, we will pick up the speed. So again, if you remember it, you will write it like agar, which is your if. अगर मैं चिड़िया होती, and then second sentence is तो is nothing but then, or something like that. Then as a result, basically, like what would you do? तो मैं, let me write it like आसमान तो मैं आसमान में उड़ती. Okay, उड़ती. And again, if you look at it, you have written उड़ती. उड़ती is for because चिड़िया is a feminine. If it is a masculine, then it would be उड़ता. It's like the same thing, for you say मैं खाता हूँ versus मैं खाती हूँ, right? For a female you say मैं खाती हूँ, for a male you say मैं खाता हूँ, तो मैं उड़ती. So I hope this is making sense to you, the entire sentence structure. Now we'll practice a lot more sentences like this, so that way you know the structure and you'll be able to translate anything like this, right? Any conditional sentence in Hindi. So let's get going. The next sentence I have is, and I'm gonna give you some time now, so that way you can do it yourself, and then we'll do it collectively. Okay. So the second sentence next is, if I were rich, I would travel. I would travel the world. Complex sentence, but I want you to again use the same approach we use in our first sentence, and give it a try. And again, no negative marking. So give it your best try, and then we will do it together. I'll give you a quick break. And if you don't know the word, Hindi word for a particular, Hindi vocabulary for a particular word, you can simply use as of now the English one, and then okay, very good try. Okay, okay, very good. Agar main is okay. What is the second one? Second one also. Okay. Yawn. You want to give it a try as well? मुश्किल है. It's okay. Awesome. So I think most of you guys have, almost very close. So let's just look at how you do it, right? There are many ways to say rich, right? Rich, you can say um, पैसे वाला. Paisa is money. पैसे वाला is a, for male, rich man. पैसे वाली, uh, rich woman. Okay. You can use that. I think, some of you use this word paise wala and paise wali. Other one you can use is Amir. Amir is rich too. And Amir is same for, male or female. So you can use that as well. Okay, Amir. So that's the first thing, that you need to know, right? Amir. So after that, okay, so you know the word for this one, Amir. Now, second one is world, travel the world, right? The word here is to travel, okay, and world is also another vocabulary word that you need to know. To travel is, some of you use, to chalna. Chalna is to walk. To travel is another word, right? Ghumna. 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 Okay. And world is dunya. And I think a lot of you got it right. World is dunya. Okay. So now you know the vocabulary word. Rich is Amir. To travel is Ghumna. And world is dunya. You want to give it another try now to see if you can, go over your sentence one more time to see if you can write everything in Hindi now. And for a male, Amir hota. For a female, Amir hoti. Okay, so that I'm just giving you a hint. Very good. So you can write it for both male and a female. So for a female, it's Amir hoti, ghumti. For a male, Amir hota, dunia ghumta. Very good. Very good. Let me write it down. I think most of you have already got it. So as you, if you know the structure again, the first one is agar, and then to. The second one to start with like this. So agar मैं अमीर, अमीर is rich, होता for a male, होती for a female, masculine singular. तो मैं दुनिया घूम घूमता for a male and घूमती for a female. Good. I hope you're getting hang of it. अगर मैं पैसे वाला होता तो मैं दुनिया में घूमता. Very good. So you can use that as well. पैसे वाला और पैसे वाली. Now, having gone through it, there is a very popular English song actually, and I want you to uh, translate that into Hindi. I mean, I just came to know about it yesterday. So, if I were a boy, if I were a boy, I would turn off my phone. I would turn off my phone. I just came across this poem yesterday. Right? I thought it would be a good quiz for our class. I think this should be very straightforward for you. The first one. Um, I think the place where you will have question is how do you say turn off in to turn off in Hindi. Um, let's give it a try. You can, as of now, if you don't know the meaning of turn off, you just use turn off, as in English, and then just write down, try to complete as much as you can, and then we'll do it as a group. And Yon, this is your chance, and I think this should be easy now. Very good. So this is a boy. Okay, very good. So I think most of you were like, only you didn't know what to use, right? How to use turn off, right? So let's do that, right? To turn off is basically बंद करना, right? The way you write it is like you write b, and then there's a nasalized sound, so half न बंद करना. Okay, बंद करना, right? So अगर मैं लड़का होता, again to remember it, अगर मैं लड़का होता, if it is a female, अगर मैं लड़की होती, Okay, तो मैं फोन, can just use phone, बंद, turn off. तो मैं फोन बंद करता, for a guy or for a girl, मैं फोन बंद करती. Okay, मैं फोन बंद करता और मैं फोन बंद करती for a girl, right? So I think most of you, or even if you didn't know the word for, uh, even if you didn't know, you could have said, you can simply say मैं phone turn off करता. So you are only using karta here. Karna is to do. When you say karna is to do, and because you are, you're using it in a masculine singular form, it's karta. Karna becomes karta. For a girl, it's karti. Okay. So I hope this is uh, helping you out. So let's do another one. Right? And again, don't forget our objective. Our objective is to learn this format and come up with a small poem, right? So all you have to do is like come up with such 4 or 5 imaginary sentences, and then write them in your native language first, and then write them in Hindi, right? And that would be a good, nice poem, right? I'll take the next one. The next one is if cars were cheap, affordable, I would buy them. If cars were cheap, I would buy them. Saida, you can also try now. You've gone through some examples. Give it your try. And car is feminine. Very good. Okay. Okay. If you don't know the word to buy, you can simply use buy, and then remember we just saw the word called karna, right? Karna is to do, and then after that you can use buy with karna. मैं buy करती और मैं buy करता. Very good. So let's look at it again. Agar, now cars is that's the Hindi word. You can use gaadi for a automobile, but let's say in this case we just use car. Agar karein, what you use in one car, you write it as car or gaadi. Okay, cars. It's used in Hindi as car, but when you use the plural, it's karein. And the way you spell it is karein, and there is an is like karein or gadiyan. They're similar to ladki, ladkiyan, car, car is using a different format. Car, karen, ladki, ladkiyan, gaadi, gaadiyan. Okay, right. So let's say you use agar karen, read it as cars or karen, कारें सस्ती होती. Okay. um, Folks, when you use cheap, it's in this case it's sasti because it's feminine. If it was masculine, it would be sasta and then hota. Okay, so if कारें सस्ती होती तो मैं. Okay, and when you say to buy is खरीदना. 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 I want to correct one thing. Most of you are using, मैं खरीदना. You don't use it. You think of it as present indefinite tense. You don't use na at the end. You use ta or ti, right? So you say मैं. Either you say मैं buy करता. So you're using ta here, okay? Or मैं buy करती, right? So in this case, you will use मैं. You will not use खरीदना. You will replace ना with ता. तो मैं buy, तो मैं खरीदता, खरीद and then ता. तो मैं खरीदता. Okay, so I hope you are able to identify this thing. Both the sentences should end with your form of your present indefinite, right? अगर गा, अगर गाड़ियां सस्ती होती, ओके, तो मैं खरीदता और मैं खरीदती. Okay, we still have time, so I'm going to give you some more examples. Um, so that way you will, by the end of this thing, you will be very good. Okay, now let's take different forms. If I were a flower, I would be a lotus. Now, having gone through the pattern, you should be pretty quick now. So very good. Okay. The way I think most of you got it absolutely correct, right? So अगर मैं फूल, फूल is basically flower, right? फूल, flower. अगर मैं फूल होता, और for girl मैं फूल होती, तो मैं लोटस, कैसे होता for a guy or for होती for a girl. Lotus is कमल, कमल. Okay, the way you write it is क म कमल. कमल is also a very common इंडियन नेम एक्चुअली. तो अगर मैं फूल होता तो मैं लोटस होता और कमल होता. uh, अगर मैं फूल होती तो मैं लोटस होती. Okay, so write it down and then I'll tell you. So the one question is like, and I think if I was not clear, let me correct it. Hota and hoti, it's based on actually who you are as a person. If I'm a male, I'll be using hota. If I'm a female, I'll be using the hoti. So it's based on the subject. I think it's a pretty good question actually. I didn't clarify it. So uh, it's again based on the subject. There are some scenarios where it might be on object, but let's not worry about that. Right now it's pretty much on the subject. Very good. So let's get going. I'll do two more, and then I'll give you the task of writing the poem. Okay. If I were a king, I would command everyone. So this is a little bit difficult, but give it a try. Actually, I had a little bit more complicated than that, but I had you first finish it and then I'll tell you, the other variation of it. If I were a king, I would command everyone. Okay, I think most of you have got it right. Right. Okay. So the question is command को क्या? To command, right? To command is आदेश देना, right? So you have a, the with a, sh, आदेश देना. So in this case, your dena becomes data or deti. Okay, dena. Okay. So let's do it now. So अगर मैं king is राजा, अगर मैं राजा होता, right? For queen it's रानी, right? You can say अगर मैं रानी होती, okay? तो मैं आदेश, आदेश is order, आदेश देता. We're talking about a male. For female is आदेश देती, okay? अगर मैं राजा होता तो मैं आदेश देता, but didn't everyone, right? तो मैं यूज से सबको, टू ऑल, सबको. अगर मैं राजा होता तो मैं सबको आदेश देता. वेरी गुड, राइट. तो मैं सबको आदेश देता. आई हैड, the original sentence I had was, if I were a king of the forest, right? So it's not that difficult either, right? All you have to do is agar main, if you had king of the forest, you would just put it here. Agar main all you have to do is a king of the forest. अगर मैं जंगल, जंगल is forest here, जंगल का राजा होता, of the forest, right? Very good. अगर मैं जंगल का राजा होता तो मैं सबको आदेश देता. Okay. Do one more. If I were a tree, I would give shade to everyone. Give it a try. It should be simple as well. Okay. To give shade is, or to protect from sun is छाया देना. छाया देना. So it's ch with a, year with a, छाया देना. Very good. I mean, even this is correct. अगर मैं ट्री होता तो मैं सबको छाया देता. So that's a different one. That's a song, but that's different. Yeah. And tree is paid. Tree is paid. Okay, I think you pretty much all of you completed. I didn't realize. Okay, so the way you write it is अगर मैं, as most of you are correct right now, this point. अगर मैं पेड़ होता, for a male, for a female पेड़ होती, तो मैं सबको छाया देता. Okay, for a girl it's T. पेड़ होता तो मैं सबको छाया देता. Very good, right? So I hope this has been useful so far. You pretty much learned the structure, right? There are two sentences. One with start with agar and then to. Once you get much better at it, right? Once you are comfortable with it, right? You realize that we don't necessarily need to write to all the time. Even if you don't write to here, it's basically implied. Right? अगर मैं पेड़ होता, मैं सबको छाया देता. It's implied that as a result of that you would do it. Grammatically, it's correct to use to, which is why I have taught you. But even if you don't use it, people will understand what you mean, right? So this is again like even in English, sometimes you miss some keywords, but people will understand it, right? Um, so that's I just want to bring it to your attention that in some of the textbooks you may see that yeah, they're using only agar, they're not using to. Both of them are correct. Okay. Now I can give you know pattern of your poem, right? I mean, but again, you should write it on your own. It should be your own imagination, right? But pretty much you can think of in terms of your noun here and verb here, right? You can think of fish, swim. You can think of horse, run, right? Teacher, uh, you know, you can say free teaching, or you can even say president, pass the law, some law that you are very interested in, right? So I'm not going to give you too many hints, but the idea here is like I wanted to give you a pattern of the poem, but again it should be your own original poem, right? So pick any four simple sentences, right? And then write down the relevant verbs for it, and write down the Hindi short poem and send it to me. I'll correct it for you. You can always post it on the Hindi University Facebook page, or my profile as well, the Learn Hindi profile. I think that will be a good exercise, and that will that will give you a chance to impress your friends. That you can write a short Hindi poem. So with that in mind, I'll open it up for any questions. Uh, so that way, I'll go one by one. Uh, there are some questions which I know I read it, and I'm going to answer it now. So folks who are watching, on the YouTube streaming, let's meet again next week. If you have any particular topic you're interested in, we'll do that again. If you like the poem part, we can do more poems, right? So I'll stop the